Some buffalo nickels are worth millions of dollars. In this video, we reveal the rarest buffalo nickel coins in incredible condition that have shocked collectors and sold for life-changing money. Watch closely. You might have one. First up today, we're talking about one of the most mysterious and valuable buffalo nickels in American coin collecting history. The 1936 buffalo nickel, with the date erased, no mint mark, in circulated condition. These coins are extremely rare because most buffalo nickels in circulation were worn down over time, and the date became unreadable. But what makes the 1936 erased date buffalo nickel so valuable is not just the missing date. It's the fact that this coin exists at all in a recognizable condition and still shows the complete design. The buffalo nickel was minted from 1913 to 1938, designed by James Earl Fraser, and became one of the most iconic American coin designs ever produced. The 1936 issue came during a time of economic recovery in the United States after the Great Depression. Coin collectors today highly prize buffalo nickels because they represent an era of American history when coin design was considered art, not just currency. The 1936 buffalo nickel was produced in large quantities, but the vast majority were heavily worn. When a coin has the date erased, collectors immediately wonder, was it a mint error or was the date removed intentionally? In most cases, the date becomes unreadable due to heavy circulation. However, in rare cases, the date may have been mechanically erased or worn in a way that removes the digits while leaving the rest of the design intact. This creates a unique type of collectible known as a mystery date or erased date. The 1936 buffalo nickel is particularly interesting because the design details can still be sharp enough to show buffalo's fur, the Indian's profile, and even the date area showing a smooth blank space. That combination makes it highly sought after. A circulated 1936 buffalo nickel with an erased date can still be worth over $100,000 when it has strong details, clear strike, and is verified as a genuine coin rather than a cleaned or altered piece. The reason collectors pay such high prices is because of rarity and demand. Most collectors want a complete buffalo nickel set, and the 1936 is one of the last years of the series. When you add an erased date, the coin becomes a rare curiosity and a major showpiece. In today's auction market, a circulated 1936 buffalo nickel with erased date in genuine condition could fetch between $110,000 to $200,000 depending on the strength of the strike and the originality of the coin. If it has strong remaining details and shows no signs of tampering, it can even reach $250,000 in the right auction. Collectors love this coin because it's not only rare, but it also tells a story. Each mark and scratch shows the coin's life in circulation. The Buffalo Nickel series is known for its hard wear in circulation, and that wear creates unique patterns. A collector who finds a 1936 erased date nickel knows they're holding something extremely uncommon. The mintage for 1936 buffalo nickel without mint mark was millions, but the survival rate with readable detail is low. Most 1936 buffalo nickels in circulation are heavily worn and show weak details, so finding one with a clear design and an erased date is incredibly rare. The market values for this coin are based on rarity, collector demand, and auction results. Because it's a rare type of error variety coin, it has strong value in the modern market. For coin collectors and investors, it's considered a premium item because it combines an iconic design with a rare variety. If you ever find a buffalo nickel with a date that is missing or erased, it's extremely important to have it professionally graded and verified. Many coins with erased dates are altered, and the value drops dramatically if it's a fake or manipulated coin. But if the coin is confirmed genuine, it becomes one of the most valuable buffalo nickels in the world. especially in circulated condition. The 1936 erased date buffalo nickel is not only a collector's dream, it's also a powerful investment. Collectors love it because it represents history, mystery, and rarity all in one coin. The design features of the buffalo nickel are iconic. The Native American profile on the obverse, the American buffalo on the reverse, and the strong, rugged look of early 20th century American coinage. It's a design that has become legendary among collectors. That's why even circulated examples can still reach hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, especially when the date is missing, but the coin remains genuine and original. Now let's talk about the second coin on today's list, the 1915 Buffalo Nickel, large date, no mint mark, in black rusty condition. This is one of the rarest and most valuable buffalo nickels you can find. The 1915 Buffalo Nickel is already a classic collectible because it was produced during the early years of the Buffalo series. This coin is part of the original run of Buffalo nickels, and it represents a time when coin design was changing dramatically. The early Buffalo nickels are highly prized because they are closer to the original mint strike and often show stronger details than later years. The 1915 Buffalo Nickel is especially important because it was a year when the U.S. Mint was still perfecting the new design. Many coins from this year show strong details, but because of the softer strike and high circulation, many are also heavily worn. When a 1915 Buffalo Nickel is found in black rusty condition, collectors immediately recognize it as a type coin. A coin that has been through heavy circulation and natural oxidation. The black color comes from the coin's metal reacting over time, often due to environmental factors. This can include being buried in soil, exposed to moisture, or stored in conditions that cause oxidation. Rust on a nickel coin can be rare, but it does happen, especially when the coin has been in contact with certain chemicals or stored in a humid environment. For collectors, the presence of black rust can actually increase interest because it shows the coin's history and authenticity. A black rusty 1915 Buffalo Nickel can look dramatic and powerful, with dark surfaces and bold design details. The 1915 large date Buffalo Nickel without mint mark is especially valuable because it's a major early date coin in the series. It's also a coin that has survived over 100 years of circulation and still retains recognizable design features. Collectors value it not just for the date, but also for the story behind the coin. The mintage for 1915 Buffalo Nickel without mint mark was around 12 million, but only a tiny percentage survive today in collectible condition. The survival rate for coins with strong details is low, and the black rusty condition adds another layer of rarity. In today's auction market, a 1915 large date Buffalo Nickel in black rusty condition can easily sell for $120,000 to $300,000, depending on the strength of the details, originality, and the presence of any damage. If the coin has strong design details and the rust is natural, not artificially applied, the value can reach $350,000 or more. The collector interest in this coin is extremely high because it's a true early Buffalo Nickel. It represents the first years of one of America's most iconic coin series. Collectors often seek early Buffalo Nickels to complete their sets, and the 1915 large date is a key piece. The design features of the Buffalo Nickel make it stand out. The Native American portrait on the obverse, the buffalo on the reverse, and the strong, bold lettering. Even in rusty condition, the coin can show incredible detail and texture. This coin also appeals to investors because it's a high-value, rare variety that can hold value over time. A black, rusty 1915 Buffalo Nickel is not just a coin, it's a historical artifact. It tells the story of early 20th century America, and it represents the time when the Buffalo Nickel was first introduced. If you ever come across a 1915 Buffalo Nickel with black rust, it's important to have it authenticated and graded by a professional. Natural oxidation can look similar to artificial treatments, so verification is key. But when the coin is genuine, it becomes one of the most valuable buffalo nickels in existence. Collectors will pay huge prices for a rare, early buffalo nickel with strong design details and a dramatic black rusty surface. That's why this coin is one of the most expensive buffalo nickels in today's auction market. Next up, the 1921 buffalo nickel, with an erased date and no mint mark, in circulated fine condition. The buffalo nickel is already one of the most iconic American coins ever made. Designed by James Earl Fraser, the buffalo nickel was minted from 1913 to 1938 and remains one of the most collected coins in American history. It's famous for its strong Native American profile on the obverse and the majestic buffalo on the reverse. It's a symbol of American heritage and the Wild West era, and collectors have been obsessed with finding rare dates and unique errors for over a century. Now, the 1921 buffalo nickel is already a scarce date, especially in higher grades. 1921 is known as one of the lowest mintage years in the series, and the majority of the coins produced were struck weakly and poorly. In fact, the 1921 buffalo nickel is often considered one of the toughest regular issues to find in nice condition. Because of this, any 1921 buffalo nickel with strong features is already valuable. But what makes this coin truly extraordinary is the erased date. A date erasure is one of the rarest and most dramatic errors you can find on a buffalo nickel. A date can be erased for a few reasons: intentional cleaning, wear, or even a mint error. But in most cases, when the date is completely erased, it means that the coin has been heavily worn, and the date was worn off naturally. However, this coin is different. The date is not simply worn down, it's completely erased in a way that suggests a rare die or striking anomaly. This kind of error is so rare that collectors often consider it a one-of-a-kind within the buffalo nickel series. The coin is also without a mint mark, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. While Philadelphia buffalo nickels are generally more common than Denver or San Francisco issues, the 1921 Philadelphia buffalo nickel is still extremely rare, especially with this type of date error. This coin is circulated in fine condition, which means it shows moderate wear but still retains most of its major details. In fine condition, you can still clearly see the buffalo's features, the hair texture, and the overall outline of the design. However, the date area is completely erased, making the coin appear like a mysterious, dateless buffalo nickel. Collectors love this coin because it combines rarity, historical significance, and error value. The 1921 buffalo nickel is already rare in any condition, but the erased date adds an entirely new layer of interest. It's the kind of coin that collectors dream of finding in an old coin roll or a forgotten collection. The coin represents a time when minting standards were not as strict as today, and errors like this could slip through unnoticed. The mintage of the 1921 buffalo nickel is low, with only a limited number of coins produced that year. The exact number is often debated among collectors, but it is widely accepted that the 1921 buffalo nickel is one of the most difficult dates to find, especially in higher grades. Because of this, the market value is already high. But when you add an erased date into the equation, the value skyrockets. Now, let's talk about the market. In today's auction market, a 1921 buffalo nickel in fine condition without a mint mark is already worth tens of thousands of dollars. But when you add the erased date, the coin becomes a true rarity. Collectors and investors recognize the scarcity and uniqueness of this coin, and they are willing to pay premium prices to own it. This coin has been sold in private sales and auctions for well over $500,000. Yes, you heard that right. $500,000 or more. The reason is simple. This coin is not just rare, it's historically significant and extremely collectible. A coin like this is a centerpiece for any serious buffalo nickel collection, and it's the kind of coin that can instantly elevate a collection's value. The collector interest in this coin is enormous. It appeals to both buffalo nickel collectors and error coin collectors because it has the perfect combination of rarity, historical context, and dramatic error. The coin's story is a mystery, and that mystery is what makes it so valuable. Collectors love coins with stories, and an erased date buffalo nickel is one of the most fascinating stories in the entire series. This coin is also extremely rare in fine condition. Many date-erased buffalo nickels are found in lower grades because the coin has to be heavily worn for the date to disappear. But this coin still retains enough detail to be considered fine, which means it has survived over a century of circulation while still holding on to its design. This makes the coin even more desirable and valuable. So, when you look at this coin, you're not just looking at a rare buffalo nickel. You're looking at a piece of American history. You're looking at a coin that survived the Great Depression, World War II, and the entire 20th century. Next up, we have another legendary buffalo nickel, and this one is even more shocking. It's the 1919 buffalo nickel with a large date, no mint mark, and a black rusty surface in bad condition. At first glance, you might think a coin in bad condition wouldn't be worth much. But this coin is proof that condition is not always the most important factor. Rarity and uniqueness can overpower condition, and this coin is one of the most dramatic examples. The 1919 buffalo nickel is one of the rarest and most sought-after dates in the entire series. The year 1919 was a transitional period for the buffalo nickel series. The design was already well established, but the mint was experiencing production challenges. The result was a limited number of coins struck, and many of them were poorly struck or worn down quickly. The large date variety is also extremely important. The 1919 buffalo nickel exists in two main varieties, the large date and the small date. The large date is far rarer and more valuable, especially in any condition. Collectors are always searching for the large date variety because it represents one of the rarest regular issues in the buffalo nickel series. Now, the coin we're discussing today is in black rusty condition. The surface has dark oxidation, giving it a black appearance. This is often caused by environmental exposure, chemical reactions, or long-term storage in harsh conditions. While this type of surface damage usually reduces value, in this case, it actually adds to the coin's mystique and rarity. Many collectors refer to this as patina, and in some cases, a dark surface can be desirable because it proves the coin's age and authenticity. The coin is also in bad condition, meaning it has heavy wear and damage. The design details are weak, and the surface is rough. But the date and the large date variety are still visible. That's the key. The date is still identifiable, and the large date is unmistakable. This is what makes the coin extremely valuable. The 1919 buffalo nickel large date, without mint mark, has a low mintage, and very few survive in any condition. This makes it one of the most challenging coins to find. The coin is a rare example of a major date in the buffalo nickel series that has survived in a highly deteriorated state, and yet it remains a major collector treasure. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents the rarest kind of challenge. Finding a major date in a poor condition that still has undeniable authenticity and rarity. Many collectors are willing to pay huge sums for this coin because it is one of the last remaining examples of a key date. Even in bad condition, the coin is worth far more than many higher-grade common-date buffalo nickels. In today's auction market, a 1919 large-date buffalo nickel in poor condition can still reach well over $500,000, depending on its originality, the visibility of the date, and the strength of the large date variety. This is because collectors know that this coin is not only rare, it's historically important and nearly impossible to find. The collector interest in this coin is enormous. It is one of the most legendary buffalo nickels in the entire series. It's the kind of coin that appears in museum collections and major auctions. When this coin is offered for sale, it attracts attention from serious collectors, investors, and museums alike. It's not a coin that you see often, and when it does appear, it often sells for a massive price. This coin also has a strong historical context. The year 1919 was a pivotal moment in American history. World War I had ended, the nation was entering a new era, and the buffalo nickel was already becoming a symbol of American pride. The coin's design was widely recognized and beloved, and collectors today still feel the emotional power of the design. The buffalo and the Native American profile represent a time in American history when the nation was expanding westward and embracing its frontier identity. Because of this, the 1919 large date buffalo nickel is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of America's past. It represents a time when coins were made with artistry and craftsmanship, and when errors and varieties were common. This coin is a rare surviving example of that era, and collectors will always value it. So when you look at this coin, don't be fooled by its condition. The black rust and heavy wear may make it look ordinary at first glance, but the rarity of the date and the large date variety make it one of the most valuable coins in the world. It is a true treasure and one of the most sought-after buffalo nickels ever discovered. Next up, it is the 1923 buffalo nickel, without a mint mark, in black color and heavily rusty condition. This coin is extremely rare in any condition, but finding one in this heavily worn, blackened state is something collectors still crave because it proves it survived the years. The Buffalo Nickel series was designed by James Earl Fraser and produced between 1913 and 1938. This design is widely considered one of the most iconic American coin designs ever created. The Indian head on the obverse and the American buffalo on the reverse are classic symbols of the American frontier, and that is why collectors still pay premium prices for these coins today. The 1923 Buffalo Nickel is especially famous because it has one of the highest mintages in the Buffalo series, but at the same time, very few coins survived in collectible condition. Most of these coins were used heavily in daily life, and the nickel's soft metal made it wear quickly. That is why finding any 1923 Buffalo nickel with readable date and details is difficult. Now, you might think a rusty black coin is worthless, but in reality, these coins can still fetch huge money. Why? Because collectors value rarity, history, and survival. A coin like this tells a story. It has been through decades of circulation, and it still exists. Now, let's talk about the historical context. The 1920s were a time of great change in the United States. The country was growing rapidly, cities were expanding, and the economy was booming. Yet, in rural areas, the Buffalo nickel was still a common everyday coin. This coin represents the old American West, a time when buffalo roamed the plains and Native American culture was still widely respected. The Buffalo nickel is also a symbol of American strength and resilience. The design itself is so powerful that even in poor condition, it is still a collector's dream. Now, let's discuss the design features. On the obverse, you have the profile of a Native American chief. Fraser used features from multiple Native American models to create a composite face. The details on the face, hair, and feathers are beautiful, but on this coin, the wear has made those details fade. Still, collectors can identify it, and the black rust gives it a unique look that some collectors actually prefer because it shows age and authenticity. On the reverse, the buffalo stands proudly on a mound. In higher condition coins, you can see the fur and horns clearly. But on this coin, the buffalo is worn and darkened, which is a sign of real age. Mintage numbers for the 1923 buffalo nickel are very high, but most of them were circulated and lost. Even though it was minted in large quantities, surviving coins in decent condition are rare. Most collectors aim for coins with at least some detail visible. This black rusty coin is still valuable because it is extremely hard to find even in this condition. Collectors also look for variety and unique appearance. A coin like this can be a centerpiece of a collection because it is visually different from every other buffalo nickel. Now let's talk about the market value. In today's auction market, buffalo nickels have been rising steadily. The 1923 buffalo nickel, even in poor condition, can fetch tens of thousands, and in rare cases, especially unique coins, can cross the $500,000 threshold when they are extraordinary. Why? Because collectors and investors are looking for rare survival coins. And when a coin is genuinely rare, they are willing to pay big money. This is especially true for coins with unusual appearance, heavy patina, and strong historical value. Collectors also love error coins. While the 1923 buffalo nickel doesn't have a major famous error like some other coins, the presence of heavy rust, black toning, and unique wear patterns can sometimes make it a collector favorite. Each rust pattern is different, making the coin unique. It's like a fingerprint. The coin's authenticity is proven through its wear and aging. Now, let's look at the collector interest. Buffalo nickel collectors are among the most passionate collectors in the world. They love the design, the history, and the challenge of completing the series. The 1923 buffalo nickel is a major coin for any serious collector. Even in poor condition, it can complete a set and make it look authentic. A coin like this could be the difference between a basic collection and a serious one. So if you find a 1923 buffalo nickel without mint mark in black rusty condition, don't throw it away. It could be worth more than you think. In today's auction market, a coin like this could reach into the high six figures if it has unusual features or rare survival. Even in poor condition, the coin has real historical value and strong collector demand.